Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Smooth Operative, and you are watching Time Capsule. It is the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and showcase awesome speedruns of games released in the same year. Tonight on Time Capsule, we are continuing the 1999 terrain with games including Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, and later Shadowgate 64. But before we begin, let's cover some announcements. First off, Unapologetically Black and Fast will be live February 16th through the 19th. Come celebrate Black Joy with us during our 4-day event full of incredible speedruns. Use the command !UBAF in our Twitch chat for more information, or head on over to gamesdonequick.com/UBAF for the full schedule. Also, GDQ's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Frost Fatales, is coming up March 3rd through the 10th. The schedule is complete, but prize submissions are still open from now until February 28th. You can use the command !FF in our Twitch chat to learn more, or go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatales. And with that, my friends, I think we are ready to rage. So here to speedrun Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, please welcome Shemp.
I appreciate the pun. Hi, I'm Shemp, otherwise known as Shemp Official on whatever you know me from. I'm a speedrunner / voice actor / content creator, and I've been running this game for about like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I lost track.
Let's go.
And this is one of my favorite games to run, which is why I'm here running it. And I'm here enjoying with my bestest friend.
Hi, Shemp.
I did it.
I'm Dylan.
Hi, Dylan.
I'm Dylan. I've been in the Spyro speedrunning sphere for about 3.5, going on 4 years here soon. Ripto's Rage in particular, one of my absolute favorites. Been running it for about 3 years. I actually helped quite a bit with Shemp's learning of the category, and I'm really excited to see him showcase it here today for all of you, and I hope you enjoy it.
Well, me too.
Well, thank you both for being here. Yes, I'm excited. Let's go.
All right, so we are going to join in, and time starts on movement, but we're going to load in, and we're going to down from 3, and then we'll be on the ride.
Sounds good.
So, the whole point of this game, or the whole plot of this game, is in Spyro 2, the main MacGuffin that you're collecting are talismans that are at the end of every level. So, the shtick is you go into a level, help whoever's in there with whatever problem they have, and they give you a talisman, and you use those talismans to get to the final boss. And then we're coming up on time here in a minute to start. It's going to be, there it goes. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
So, thank you. So the main thing we're going to be doing in this run is collecting all 14 talismans and collecting enough gems to pay for what we need to progress in the levels, because this is the game that introduces moneybags, and moneybags likes to stop progression. Like in this level, he wants you to pay for a bridge, but we just went around the entire level and skipped him, so we don't really need anything from him in there.
Yep, and it's super important to skip all moneybags payments that are not required, really, especially with the route we're doing. The version of this game that we're running on aligns us to a couple of different options, right? So you can either opt for what's called Swim Route, where you purchase swim for moneybags early in the game here in Summer Forest, or you can do what's called Theater Skip or Spyro and Ripto, or some combination of those tricks, to instead just kind of opt out of buying swim. This route particularly focuses a lot on gem collection and movement, which is something that Champ's going to be really focusing on here throughout. I'm going to be very closely monitoring his gem count, as he, before this run, actually requested that I bully him in case he does not collect enough gems.
Yes, verbatim. That is what I said, yes. Thank you for telling me.
Perfect.
Now, for a lot of, like some of the terms that Dylan was saying, there's the Swim in Air, which is, is a glitch I'm sure everyone ever has seen, in the early days of YouTube. And then there's Sproder, which is, you want to explain, since you're so well versed in it now, do you want to kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different variants of Sprodering into different areas in the game. It's a very useful mechanic, which accompanies the idea of a double jump, which we're seeing Shemp do here and there. You can kind of see Spyro occasionally. When Shemp will stop, Spyro will get a little bit more height, right there. He just did it. Nice example. Appreciate it. You can basically do the same inputs, which are X and square in kind of a rhythmic fashion, while against a surface or against a wall at a slight angle. And what it'll do is it'll help Spyro either maintain or gain height, which in this game is used to get into the theater area early, It's even used to get into Ripto early in the highest level of play for both any percent, 14 talisman, 100%, and 40 orb even. It's a very high level trick. It's a very high level skill that you can kind of grow and adapt with over time. It's incredible, it's awesome, and it's very addicting to do once you've learned it.
Yeah, because Dylan at some point sometime last year was just so like focused on getting it, and every time we would join like BC's in our little community discords, he would just be like, my thumb hurts, I'm close, I hate this, but I love this. And you're getting really good. You've gotten really good at it. So every time I see you do it, I'm like, maybe one day I'll be that cool.
Yeah, listen, I think as long as you put in the time, you will, and I hope you don't have to put in as much as I did. I personally, for just context on that trick in particular, it took me about 50 plus hours. I lost track after 50. I didn't keep counting to hit a single time. It is very like, it's not quite a frame perfect trick, but it's like a series of very frame dependent inputs, and it's a very tough one. Spyro and Ripto in particular. If you ever want to see it, feel free to check it out on SRCom. It's incredible. Anyway, another incredible thing going on. Shep, your gem count's looking pretty nice right now, heading into Colossus. The golden number here is 500, is what we want to hit before we talk to Moneybags.
Yes,
and after Colossus, that's what we're going to be hitting.
Yeah, the biggest thing with this run is not only obviously the movement, it's a big one, but making sure that you pay attention to your gem count. Because, for me, I'm doing swim routes, so there's a lot of, I have to pay Moneybags a lot of money, I missed that, to do just basic traversal. There's also a route that will use proxies, which was where you proxy off of these little animals. I give Sparks, the dragonfly here, a butterfly for health. And you can proxy, and the proxy, what that does is it basically shoots you up in the air, like as high as you can, and you can use that to skip a good chunk of a lot of these levels. It's kind of difficult, for me at least, because I'm still new to the proxies. But one of those proxies is in a level we're going to see later called Aquaria Towers, where you skip the need to pay for the shark. The shark is just like this little mechanical thing that takes you through these shark-infested waters and whatnot. I'm going to attempt it just to see if I can get it, but if not, it's no big deal. We'll just do the intended route.
Yep. Which specifically for the swimless route, for anyone curious, there's several different ones that are like required, I should say. Really the only two that are like super duper required are Aquaria Towers, which Shemp just mentioned, and Sunny Beach, which is probably the worst proxy in the game for some people. For some people like me, it's pretty fun though. I like it. Yeah,
every time you get it, I'm always like, is it just gonna go straight into the center, or just gonna bonk right up on the roof?
Yep. It's a very brutal proxy when you mess it up, but just the name of the game. We're speedrunners. We're not comfort runners. Being comfortable. No. I don't know what the term is.
You can't be comfortable.
So gem count's a little low, which is fine. There are some backup gems right next to Moneybags that I can grab. But I think the ones I missed were just like in the beginning part, like near the entrance. But it's fine. All I need are 6? And I think this is 10? Yeah, this is 10. So we're fine. So this is swim. This is what we're going to be using for a good chunk of the last part of the run, because there's one trick this is the trick you need to get in order to get into Ripto early, which, we won't spoil if you've never seen one of these runs before, but it's really goofy. Now we're going to go into Hurricos, which is the little, what'd you call it? Just industrial level, it's whatever whatever theme you want to call it.
It's a SpongeBob level because it has the SpongeBob
You're right.
Tom Kenny voicing the little Electrolls. Those little guys right there, that little goofy guy over there. He's just Tom Kenny.
You'll hear a frame of him at the end, and it's just straight up SpongeBob. There we go. Now that trick we were discussing on my stream earlier today, that it's pretty consistent, but it also feels like complete RNG whether or not you get it, because either you clip right through, there's SpongeBob, either you clip right through or you get pushed off 15 times, and it's great because it humbles you a little bit,
Yeah, it's really awesome. Fun fact, my PB in this category loses 45 seconds to that trick. It's awesome.
I didn't know that.
I just kept it going. I thought it was a dead run. I just kept it going, and it PB'd at the end. It was really awesome.
You hit sheep and turtle, and then you. What else did you hit to get that PB, dude? I'm proud of you.
I think I hit Satyрлess that run, which is another trick that I want to talk more about.
Yeah, Satyrs. That's like the trick of all time.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the ones. I'm actually going to focus on you learning that one next. I think next time we sit down and we're learning stuff, because it's, listen, once you get it, you're gonna be heat at it. But speaking of heat, we're in Sunny Beach, right? This level's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the best part about this level is you're tasked with bringing these kids to their, I guess, dad or grandpa or something at the very end. But as you see, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave them.
we're just gonna leave them, dude.
they're just
even
like,
better.
Yep.
Because at the end, whenever you talk to him, he's like, "Oh my god, my kids are safe," and you're like, "Okay." Oh well,
a little bit of beef.
I jumped a little too early. A little bit of beef.
Yeah, you beefed that a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Just a little bit of beef, dude. Yeah,
a little bit of beef. So, what I was gonna say, this level is incredible for gems in this category. It's one of those where you really want to maximize your time per gem. One often use like metric in terms of like making sure like things are worth it is what's called GPS, or gems per second. Sunny Beach is among the higher threshold of gems per second levels in the entire run. So it's one of those, well, you would have to go in here anyway for the talisman. It's one of the absolute like most packed levels for you collecting, especially within the time that you have.
Which I'm sure you could see by the amount of gems I was getting just by going straight. Like it was so many gems per second, which is a term we use a lot whenever we're trying to like lock down the best possible route for one of these Spyro games. The community around Spyro speedrunning is actually insanely talented, and I'm so glad that I get to be a part of it and see it all happen like just in real time.
Yeah, my favorite runner in particular is Derek Lander. Shouts to Derek Lander.
He's all right.
Oh, all right. I guess I don't like Derek Lander anymore.
Yeah, honestly, Derek, I know you're in chat. I love you.
Yeah.
I was going to say you have a lot of support from the Spyro community in chat right now.
Oh, really? Oh, hi. All right, so this is Sheep Roxy. Let me see if I can be cool. I'm cringe. Okay, it's fine. We'll go for the backup. A little bit of beef, more beef.
To explain kind of the dichotomy of what a proxy is really, the game has a failsafe where if Spyro's stuck... Ooh, that was actually very close, Shemp.
Yeah, that was close, yes. But that's the general idea.
Yeah. When Spyro's like stuck inside of a like entity of any kind, and he's coming out of it essentially, what the game tries to like give Spyro more speed to get out of it. That way, no matter what, he will. So what the proxy does, it uses that displacement idea. It makes it so we can manipulate it to give us like either forward or vertical proxies, which can really benefit us in a speed run. Specifically right there, we were trying to get to the end of level by going through like the little hole there that usually is, right there. The reason why you have to go through and actually hit the water is because the guy won't say this world is, well, he'll say the world is wet again, but it'll be dry as can be. Dry as Shemp's DMs. I mean, I love you. Sorry.
I mean, I love you. It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine. I'm DMing you right now.
We'll talk about this later. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're actually not.
Oh, okay.
You're gaslighting me.
I am
okay.
gaslighting you.
And as you're saying is once you talk to him, if you accidentally talk to him without the water actually being the way it is, you soft lock the game and you have to exit and go back in.
Yep. It's a bit funny.
It's a bit silly, goofy, but as you just saw, that was the shark that I was talking about that we were trying to skip because it costs 100 gems. Now, if you skip it, you can be a little bit less strict about your gem routing in the later levels because you're already 100 up from what you previously had. So this is Crush. He looks so dumb.
He's so happy. He's just a happy little guy.
Look at now it's Spyro. I don't care. But yeah, it's just a happy little guy. Just a little dude.
He's just a little dude. And then he has like he says a giant hammer.
That's his whole shtick is he says a giant hammer.
And even like, man. So a lot of this boss fight, there's a couple different ways to do it. Shemp is going to be utilizing damage abuse strats, which you want to do here to kind of keep him on the right buttons. Now, in this next phase, I believe Shemp's going to try to double jump over one of the fireballs. That way we can get him over to, very nice, Shemp, get him over to the right pad. So the one he's going to be going to is going to be blue. And we're going to be using that for the final 3 hits because you want a damage abuse for all 3. The overall boss fight goes in, that's
fine.
It'll buff out. The reason for it is simply because Crush, he'll always walk between like these pads if you get hit. And if you can hit him while he's just barely off one of the pads, or when he's near a pad, he'll go to that one instead. Here, Shemp actually brought him to the right pad. Very nice. I'm surprised you got
There we
sparks there. That looked a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, that looked like it just wouldn't hit, but you know, I'm just good like that. I'm just that good, you know. I'm the best ever, you know.
Yep.
Dylan?
And that's Crush. That's
Where'd you go?
Dylan, no comment.
Anyway, Crush is defeated. We're moving on to Hub 2.
Yay.
Yes.
The most fun. This is where all the fun starts, and I don't get sad.
Yeah, listen, if you get sad even once, what's the point? You know? Just be happy.
Just be
This is the happy place.
Just power through.
Fun fact about Moneybags we just saw for a moment in the cutscene. He is a champion bantamweight boxer. That holds no further story in the game. It's just a fact that he says for some reason.
It's just a little, you know, he lies to make himself feel better, and we choose to believe him.
Yeah. Champ, you're the best at this game.
Oh my God, Dylan. Really? You mean it?
So here we are on Crystal Glacier. We're going to get on this bone, and we're going to do a little bit of a double jump over across.
Yeah, okay.
As opposed to freeing those little guys. Normally you would have to. Unfortunately, it's a little bit on the slower side, slower end of things. Shemp instead is going to elect to flame all of these guys. There's a couple ways to actually get up this wall without freeing these guys. There's a double jump. There's you can do snowball proxy. You can do a sproder on this wall. But instead, we're going to take the consistent route this time around and just kind of head towards the end of level area. Another Moneybag skip coming up here. Normally, we would have to pay him for a little snake bridge that pops up as a cool little animation. Instead, we're just going to jump on this HUD and go over. And then Shemp's going to hit snowball proxy.
Yeah, I'm going to hit it straight up, dude. Check it out. See? That was, I got it. Yeah.
Close.
That was perfect. It sucks because
late.
we were in the green room for the GDQ Discord server, and as we were practicing and talking and testing everything, I hit it perfectly. I was like, oh cool, that was my one for the night. That's it, I'm done.
Oh, dude, nice,
dude.
You should have waited
5 minutes. I should have landed. Why aren't you just better? You know.
Listen, you're doing great right now. This actually, you're doing really well so far.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And I'm not gonna say anything actually. You know, that is.
Yeah, don't jinx it. Just let me jinx it.
Yeah, you should jinx it so I can blame you later.
Yeah, well, if I jinx it and then you don't jinx it, it doesn't double jinx around, so it'll buff out.
But two negatives make a positive, so therefore I wouldn't jinx it. So if we both, pseudo jinx it, we'd be fine.
Yeah. So anyway, Skelos Badlands. One fun thing about Spyro 2, just generally speaking, is a lot of levels have what are called sister levels. So we were just in Crystal Islands. You saw kind of the end of level guy. He has the bone in his head. Same with these guys here. They're intended to be kind of opposites of each other. One's super hot, the other one's super cold. It's funny, I think.
It's like me and Dylan. That's what I've always said, but no one believe me. But you explained it perfectly. Yeah, egg salad.
You are pretty cold.
Okay, well that's okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I get it. No, I get it.
Okay.
No, cool.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm trying to play the game. All right, I'm doing a show.
You did it.
Well, I hit exit level. Oh, dude, that's insane. That trick's so hard. Oh, you're really coming up in the world.
Yep.
I can't wait to block you after this. Anyways.
No, it's gonna be okay.
Wow.
It's gonna buff out. We're getting into Breeze Harbor, who may be in chat. Hi, Pepper.
Yep. Anyway, so Breeze Harbor, another level that has a sister level. We're gonna see that one much later though, comparatively to the one that we're gonna be going into right now. Really, this level is pretty awesome because you just go jump right to the end of level, and then you jump again, and then you go jump again, and then you
beef it, and then you try again. Hey,
no, you're gonna do it. You got it. You got this.
Yeah,
nice.
Don't give me that little. Oh.
No, you got it.
Yeah, you're right. I got it. I'm just that good. You're right. You believed in me the entire time.
Listen, second try is not bad for that. I'll die on that.
Listen, second try is just first loser, and I get it. I'm first at something.
Yeah. You're first in our hearts.
Oh. Great.
Yeah, it's Breeze Harbor. So
that's it. Yeah, that's the whole level.
Just to talk about 14 Talisman and the difference of what it is versus what it was. For a long time, there wasn't a skip directly into Ripto. Not a skip into Ripto, a skip into Gulp, I should say. So instead, what most runs would typically do is they would have to get all 14 talismans because the Gulp door will not open unless you have all 14. However, a runner by the name of Tuval found Gulp Skip, which now is the any percent, what we do in 80%, I should say, as well as what we do in 100%. Prior to that, 14 Talisman was the any percent, and now kind of serves as the legacy any percent, with kind of like a lot of nice like little tricks to get through the levels. And it's really just fun. I can't express how enjoyable it is to like start this category and run it in the beginning, and then when you get to different points, it becomes less fun because then you have to do things that are not fun.
And then you want to go back to the way it was, and then you never can, but you still try, you know?
But you still try.
You still try. Now, what that was, that's a trick we call ground a portal. And the whole reason we did that is because we were trying to skip having to pay money bags to climb up there. So you kind of do a little parkour thing up there. Now, that was the trick I struggled with the most starting off. But now that I understand it, I still mess it up. But I can say that it's my fault and not the game's fault.
Yeah. And it's actually really impressive too, because I'm not saying this to knock you. I really remember when I would watch you play this game and do it for 15 minutes and not get it a single time.
Don't worry, I did too.
It's a stage that everyone goes through, because I did too. You know, I had that phase for sure. Yep, ground a portal in particular is the harder of the two. However, I had problems with the other part of it, which is the easier part, arguably. But we're not gonna talk about it.
Were you jump on the roof?
Yeah, I couldn't get the jump under the railing for the longest time when I first started.
Wait, you keep sliding off like I did the first time?
I just bonk. I didn't know how to flop at all. I was really. Yeah.
Oh, that part. Okay, I thought you meant the part after that. Oh, no. No, same thing. Yeah, that was my also biggest crutch. I would just keep hitting it.
Yep.
Or I would try to flop and I would just slide off.
Just so
here's your favorite level.
Your gem count's pretty all right. Try to pick up a couple of little extras.
All right, I'll pick up the extras at the end of this level around the fawn.
So Fracture Hills is one of the most unique levels in 14 Talisman. We talked a lot about things like proxies and things like that, double jumping, sprouters. One thing we haven't really talked about is like kind of memory manipulation, which is actually what the trick of this level is if you do it. We're not going to be seeing it showcased by Shemp here because really you haven't learned it yet. It's a very hard one to learn for a lot of reasons. It hinges a lot on the camera of Spyro's camera when you're facing in any given direction. Spyro's loading in what's ever in that direction. Basically, to put it simply, there's a girl inside of that end of level area that we're going to see once Shemp frees her, that we would have to basically interact with within a frame and not see her the entire time while we get to the interaction. The outside of the castle is completely you can't go through it. It's not translucent? No, translucent's visual. I can't think of the word. There's a specific spot where you go in through the top, basically, which makes it available to talk to her for that frame, but you need to do a precise series of movements and camera manipulation, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that's how it worked. I just kind of had a rough idea of what you had to do, but you explaining it all makes sense to me. So you explained it very well, actually. So I was like, I don't understand how this works.
It's so complex. When I was learning it, it was one of those things where I didn't understand all the little things you could do wrong when doing it. But there's so much that goes into it that when you're learning it, it really is overwhelming. But once you have it, it's something you can definitely get down.
You just gotta, be careful.
Yeah, and put the time in.
Forgot the gym that you always tell me to get. You always yell and scream at me. It's fine. I'll do it. I'll get it when I get out. Actually, I may not need it. I may have overgemmed in Fractured Hills.
We'll see.
Let me see what my gem count is.
I think you're relatively fine.
I'm at
567.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: since we don't have climb, the beginning of this stage has a ladder, and if you miss that double jump, then you soft lock, and you have to exit level and then go back in and then try again.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's so fun.
I really enjoy that part of the game. So, other than in Spyro 3, we're going to see a trick here that most people just call whirl and bypass in that game. I don't really know what you would call it, but it's basically double jumping out of flying, which is really cool and makes Spyro go up really fast, and I really like it.
What it does is it goes past the the height cap, because if you just flew up, the game would stop you at a certain point. But whenever, that's only for flying. If Spyro's in any other state, it's fine because there's nothing to stop or push him back down. So you charge up, so you get out of the state to go past the height cap. And as you flap up and hold up, it'll kind of like shoot him up.
Yeah.
But Spyro 3, that's like a really early Spyro 3 trick if you are really good at what Dylan just said is whirlwind bypass. I almost went back in. I just really like Magma Cone, dude. It's just a fun level.
All right, your gems are great. You don't need to grab that one, but you can.
That's cool. I did anyways. Right as you said.
No, you're good. It's all good. The minimum you can realistically enter, if you guys are looking to learn this category yourselves, the lowest you can realistically enter Shady Oasis in with gem-wise, without like losing too much time to grabbing backups, is like 620. Even then, you're still losing a little bit because you are going to have to grab quite a few extras at the end, but it's not too big a deal.
And I'm not going to get those like I always do. I remembered.
Yeah. We were talking about Spyro 3 just a second ago, but this level, if you played any of the Critter missions or like the Sheila's Alp, Bentley's Outpost, whatever, they're all just escort missions, and that's all this level is. We're just escorting Shorty through, and it's really fun. I promise. Escort missions,
it's so fun.
In video games are my favorite.
Now, this level is where you're actually gonna kind of fix your gem count if you are kind of low, because this is the gem level. There's so many gems in this level. Even if you get to the very end of this level and you don't have enough, there are still some on the side that you can just go pick up. Yeah, I'm not cool.
Yep. And so Shem hit that in a run one time and now is obsessed with going for it. Basically, what you can do, if you hit the right basic area of that vase at the top bit of it, you can make it so you don't take damage from hitting it. Alternatively, though, you lose no time to simply flaming it, but Shemp just really likes hitting it.
Yeah, but it's cool. It looks cool, okay?
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's, you know...
I'm just saying you waste time, you know?
I'm just saying it's not optimal.
So I'm at 389, and we're supposed to be at 400, but there are a total of, like, I think 14 gems outside of this level on the way to Elora, which we're going to go see here in a minute, so we should be fine.
Yep, and so fun fact for anyone who doesn't know about Elora, I'll explain it as we go to her here. When you talk to her, she'll initially give you like a dialogue box about Gulp, but if you talk to her again, really at any point in Autumn Plains, she'll take you to whatever level you haven't collected a talisman in, which is why we save Zephyr, which is normally, like you see it at the beginning of Autumn Plains here, sorry. You see it at the beginning of Autumn Plains, you're going to talk to her, and she's just going to teleport you straight to Moneybags, and then it's beautiful. It's a wonderful little thing.
It's so gorgeous. It's actually an amazing thing.
How it looks. Wow.
Wow,
anyway.
dude. Anyway.
Dude.
Dude. Oh, dude. Now, this is Zephyr. This is, for me, one of my most challenging levels to do.
Yeah. It's definitely a harder level in the back half. So this level, when you're playing it super like efficiently, there's a cycle you want to make involving a balloon that we're going to be looking to proxy off of here. Shemp, I believe you're going to have to take a little bit of time to set up, just because, you know, you bonked a little bit there at the start, but that's not a big deal. So here, that out of bounds was beautiful, by the way. Great job with that.
Thank you.
And we're going to double jump to the balloon. Ooh, a little early on the Express. Nice try.
At least we got a balloon proxy, which saves, even if you get a small one, it does save a good chunk of time without you having to like come over here. Oh, nope. There we go.
So the intention is to get over the end of level area there where we're currently blowing up, because you can technically talk to the guy early. It's really cool.
So I was actually surprised. So usually what you saw me do is I glid to that section before the cutscene started, just to get there a little bit faster. But there's like a little guarantee that you'll sometimes always get hit by an enemy, and that's how I didn't. So, you know, I'm just a little lucky like that. You know?
Yep. Speaking of lucky, are you feeling lucky? Because we're playing the roulette of Spyro 2 coming up next with everyone's favorite green dog thing.
Toad.
Toad. Frog dog. Dog frog.
Or
I don't know. What is Gulp? What would you? What would you say is?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
He's like a little fuzzy guy.
He's a little fuzzy guy.
Oh, cool.
Cool, yeah.
That's a new description. I don't think I'd ever hear about Gulp.
I certainly tried.
He's a little fuzzy, I would say. He might got something. You never know.
So what I just try to go for there is, so the first 3 phases of this fight, what the game tries to teach you is like all the types of projectiles you can use in them. So it's going to be like those barrels and then bombs and then rockets. What you try to do is, missed that first. And then what you want to do after that is you want to try to get 2 barrels from the first wave, because that will skip the bomb section, because the bomb section is the slowest. And then it goes straight into the rocket section. Now the rockets are good because you can pick them up like this, and then fire one, pick it up again, and then fire the next one to get 2 hits. So theoretically, you would get 4 hits like right away, really fast. But I beefed the first one because they were really far away. So I had to do the bomb one. So now after the first 3 rounds, it's going to just randomly start dropping things. And the only thing that you can manipulate, this is the fun part, but I can get 2 hits here.
Nice. Very nice. Never mind.
Never mind.
Okay. The way that so that's really not your fault. There's a slight timing thing, right? It is your fault, but it's not really, because I don't think you've experienced that until this moment. So the way that Gulp works is whenever he gets hit, he kind of does that jump up into the air. And if you hit him with a barrel at the basic exact right time, it's not quite frame perfect, but it's somewhat frame lenient to like a couple. It'll basically just bounce off of him and upwards. It's really awesome and cool.
It's so cool, and he does that just to show off, and I love it every time. I can't believe that. I was so confident too. That was awesome. I'm glad I got to see that. Yeah, I can do. Oh, there was a thing. I didn't see that one. Yeah, I'll try to do Gulp proxy.
And give me a Gulp proxy.
I'll give you a Gulp proxy.
Just one for the fans. Everyone wants a Gulp proxy.
Yeah, everyone is screaming in chat right now for a Gulp proxy. I'm gonna.
I've never seen.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, well, that's.
Yeah, that's cool.
Close.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, you can get the double. Oh, you don't want the double. You want the proxy. You bonked.
No, he was just gonna hit it. He was just gonna hit it in the air again. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. That would have
myself some time. Yeah, it would have happened like twice in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is Gulp. Oftentimes, especially at higher levels, one thing I will say, it's very rewarding to get good at Gulp, so to speak, but you never will ever have perfect Gulps all the time. No. It's even what are called like really good Gulps of like all doubles basically are like hard to come by at higher levels, just because he's brutal. Sometimes you just get 3 bombs and you just sit there and cry. You can't help it.
The best thing is sometimes when they drop the egg on him and then it breaks and you get nothing, and that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going into Winter Tundra. This is the last leg of the game. So we have to do 2 out of bounds, 1 to get into Dragon Shores so we can get our Super Flame power up, and then we need to do it again to get Swim in Air to get into Ripto early and then kill him with the fireballs.
Yep. Here we're not going to be electing to do a Penguin proxy because I believe you're just not like super comfortable with it, which is respectable. Yeah. Instead, we're going to be double jumping on some scenery. I'm jumbling my words instead. Very nice skip, by the way. That unironically is a lot harder than it looks on like. It's not super difficult, but it's very easy to mess up and fall off. I do it all the time still because I am not good at this game. Fortunately, Shemp is the best.
I'm just the best. And so the way this game in Spyro 3 works is every portal that is not unlocked, the entrance for it is underneath the portal. So that's what that just happened there. So if you watch any Spyro 3 runs, that's the first thing they do after the first level is they just start going underneath a bunch of levels. Now we're doing the bane of my existence, which is Dragon Shores wall.
Yep. So this wall is quite literally every new runner's biggest challenge or biggest hurdle. It is the wall to get over, literally and figuratively. It's very hard to get over it. I know Shemp did it in 3 tries there, which makes it not look super hard. But I promise you, do it yourself. Go to that wall and just double jump at it for a while. It will probably take you half an hour minimum.
Now that whole section was terrifying because if you accidentally charge and like start swimming in that water, the game will crash. Specifically because when you're underwater, Sparks gets a little bubble around him, and it crashes because that bubble model isn't loaded in for that level, so it just crashes. So if you do it without Sparks, it'll work. It's just you'll get the You get a goofy.
You get a funny camera.
Yeah.
It turns into like the Spyro J camera. It's funny.
Aw.
Ooh.
Aw.
If you turned in, I think you got swim and air there.
Yeah, I just backed off a little too early. So this is the final, like, what would you call this? Just a hurdle, I would say. If you're not just well versed in it, like Dylan J. Fox is here.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even do this. Never mind.
I mean, I do currently because I'm not doing Spyro and Ripto runs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nah, dog, that thing kills me. I don't want that. Nice swim in air. Very nice.
There we go.
So
That
here we're
was
going to be
the
heading
intent.
into the final boss.
Yeah, and well, this boss has 3 phases. You can manip like early hits. Like after I hit Ripto, you'll see me try to turn around and spit a fireball because I'm going to try to hit the mecha gulp that spawns early. But I typically miss it, but I'm still going to go for it.
Yep. This gulp, unfortunately, not quite as fuzzy as the first gulp.
Yeah, it
It's going
is
to be a little bit more
indeed made of-
metallic.
Yeah, actual metal. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
I would say
make sure
he's
he
more
doesn't
like
fly
aluminum
off.
when we have fireball, though.
Okay, fireball
Ooh.
didn't come out. It's fine. Fun
We are
facts
going
about
to be
Ripto.
coming up on time here in just a little
Yes.
bit, just a heads up to tech.
So if Ripto starts running at you when you start this fight and you start hitting him with the fireballs, sometimes he'll just get flung to the left or right at Mach 5 and it'll ruin your cycle, and that's fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a little bit quirky.
this is the last phase. So once the final hit gets on him, then that is time.
Yep,
Unless
will
I die,
call
then
it
that's Pog.
the moment I see it. Nah, you aren't. You're not gonna die. You're that guy. Come on.
I'm just that good, you know. It's kind of insane.
Yep.
And
Yep. A lot of this like boss fight when I was a kid, I love this boss fight, by the way.
me too.
It's super dope. I love flying around. And we're gonna get he did the lap around the castle. I love that bit. And time.
Yeah.
GG.
Awesome.
Woo.
Well done, Shemp. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. How are you
Only-
feeling, Shem?
Good, considering I only died once to swim in air. That's really the biggest thing I was worried about. And crashing in Dragon Source.
Well, you did a great job. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Do you have any like shout outs, comments, anything you want to talk about?
Yes, biggest thing that me and Dylan would like to talk about is our event called Ultimate Speedrun Championship, otherwise known as USC for short. It's a charity event, speedrun events, kind of focused on comedy. And Dylan, you want to take it over since it's kind of your expertise in the style format?
So it's really focused on commentary and presentation, really dressing up speedrunning as something a bit more than, just the runs, which by themselves, by the way, are incredible. Think of it kind of similarly to UFC or WWE if you're familiar with either medium. The final day of each of the USC days is the championship day where we have all of the best runners of whatever category race against each other in said category for trophies and prizes. All donations from the event tend to go towards the Able Gamers Foundation, which is our choice of charity for the event, which is really a charity focused on making the hobby of gaming accessible for us all. I can't talk today. And if you're at all interested in checking us out, you can go to uscevent.com or follow at USC Marathon on Twitter, as well as myself at Dylan J. Fox and Shemp at Shemp Official on Twitter if you want to check any of those things out.
Yeah, well
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I made sure to post some of the links to both of your streams in the chat, and I do encourage y'all to follow both Shemp and Dylan if you had fun with us. And it is the USC event Twitter. Could you tell us the URL again for that?
Oh, yes. It's at USC Marathon.
At USC Marathon. Okay, awesome.
And then the event is the direct event link is uscevent.com.
USCevent.com. Okay.
I can put that in chat if you'd
USCevent.com.
like.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. I do have one question for you, though. Do you have any advice or for anyone wanting to get started in Spyro?
Oh,
Absolutely.
I'm probably one of the best examples since I'm so new. I'm still learning a lot, but Spyro 2, specifically 14 Tally, was probably the most beginner friendly for me because all of the extra stuff that I was doing and going for, you don't have to do a good chunk of that. You can just do the safest route and still get a good time. I mean, Dylan here does you have a better time than me, and you do what route do you do?
I do swimless currently. I get the theater.
Yes.
instead of doing Spyro and Ripto currently. I have a 2750 as of this time.
And
Which
I think mine is a 3131 if I remember correctly, with like basic stuff. But there's a runner who does nothing major, and they have a better time than me. And so, like, there's so much learning curves with this run. Spyro 3 would be a little bit similar in terms of movement, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So if you're going to pick up one, just kind of mess around with the double jump. It's the easiest thing to learn first, X square. And if you have any questions, please, we do have plenty of resources. Everyone in the Spyro speedrunning community is so friendly. They're so nice. They help me learn everything in every different game that I wanted to learn. So don't be afraid. Do what you need and reach out to whoever or join any of the Discord servers or just start watching some streams and just chill and chat and ask questions.
Yeah, it's honestly super easy to get into. There's lots of great teachers out there. Especially if you just want to like learn the basic things of it. Even if you just want to know what Shemp knows here, which is like a pretty like basic bare bones route, I will say. But also, you're getting a great time with it, and I'm pretty confident you'll be able to get a sub 30 with it as well at some point here in the future.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Absolutely reach out to everyone and anyone that's around.
Awesome. Well, thank you again both so much for being here. Before we break, I want to give a big thank you to all of our wonderful supporters. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered here on the GDQ Twitch channel help support the Games Done Quick Hotfix. So if you do enjoy watching speedruns here on Hotfix, please consider subscribing to the channel. And hey, if you didn't know, Games Done Quick is looking for a new mainline event volunteer coordinator. So feel free to review the duties and apply at gamesdonequick.com/jobs if you're interested. And I think there might be some interest here. but again, thank you both so much for being here. We will be right back with a speedrun of Shadowgate 64, so stay tuned.
Ooh. All right.
Thanks for having us, y'all.
Bye. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. I am your host, Smooth Operative, and you are watching Time Capsule. So before the break, some of you mentioned in the chat that this will be your first experience seeing Shadowgate 64. Now, to put this into perspective, our next game sold roughly 150,000 copies. Our previous game, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, by comparison, sold 3.4 million copies. So this one is a little obscure, and I'm really, really excited about it. Here to speedrun Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers. Please welcome Kefka.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back on Hotfix in general. Great to be on Time Capsule. Last time you guys saw me was in December, I want to say. I was running Chameleon Twist 100%. But today we're doing something entirely different. We're doing Shadowgate 64. This game is definitely a vibe. It's very obscure. I wish I could say there was a community. There's not. I'm the only active runner in the last 10 years, pretty much. Quite literally.
Wow. Let's go.
There was a runner about 7 or 8 years ago. But other than that, just me. So if you're interested in this, hit me up. I'll gladly teach the game. I've got a tutorial, but let's just go ahead and get right into it. We'll start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Best of luck.
Thank you. So this game starts off like any good speedrun does with a nice minute-long cutscene. I'll explain a little bit of the lore, I guess. So our character is the one being carried there. That is Del Cottonwood. He's basically a hobbit. People call him a halfling, but let's be real. He's a hobbit. And we're getting thrown in jail. It's a great way to start a speedrun.
No.
Yeah, it's terrible. We're going to be coming back to this prison or dungeon or whatever you want to call it a little bit later in the run, though. A lot of very important things go down here. But starting off the game, I'll explain a little bit kind of what kind of game we're dealing with here. It's a, sort of a Western medieval style fantasy game. It's basically a point-and-click adventure game, minus the point-and-clicking. It's all in first person, which is pretty unusual. It's a very unique game on the 64. Very dense lore. Very dense. Like, super dense. Tons of reading you can do. We're going to be skipping over all the lore, obviously, but, yeah. So, we're actually about to start playing here, and our character notices, hey, we're in a dungeon, and we're going to talk to this guy right next to us. Now, this is Agar. Very important character in the run. We're going to see him a couple times. He's basically a wizard, or a sorcerer, or whatever term you want to use. And he's explaining to us right now where we're at. We are in Castle Shadowgate. And the Dungeon Keeper comes and brings us some food. And yeah, there's not too much text in this game, honestly, other than like just picking up objects and stuff. So there's not really there is a lot of lore to explain, but I'll mostly gloss over it. So the very first thing we got to do, and this will kind of give you a bit of a premise on how this game goes, is we got to solve puzzles. And our first object we can interact with here is this piece of meat. Gives us the grossest sentence on the 64 when you eat it. It says, "You gag on the greasy meat." Terrible sentence.
Oh, God. Oh, I don't want to hear that again.
Yeah, right? It's awful. But after we eat the meat, we grab the bone that is left over there. And we're going to use it to open this sewer grate. It's quicker here to say no and then use the bone. If you say yes, your character will try to open it and then say, "Hey, I can't open this." So there's all kinds of like little tiny time saves like that all throughout this run. I wish I could say there was a lot of glitches and things, but currently there are no useful glitches in this run. So glitch hunters, please get on it. I would love for this game to be a little bit shorter. That'd be great.
Now, Kefka, did you create a community for this game? Like a Discord community?
No, not really. There's not really been any interest. If I'm being completely honest, it's been pretty empty on the Shadowgate 64 front. I've created a lot of communities over the years. I've been speedrunning for about 12 years. This one's one I only picked up last year though, and it's just it's pretty interesting too, because you would think a game like this could definitely fall in the cult classic kind of realm of things, but not exactly. So right there, you just saw a ghost. That was Lucas. Lucas is pretty important if you're doing world record attempts, but I'll explain a little bit more about him at about the 20 or 30 minute mark in the run. You notice we're walking around, we're grabbing some items. We grabbed an iron bar earlier, used it to knock over a pillar. We came in here, we grabbed a pickaxe. Our goal right now is to escape the sewers, which is, a pretty simple situation. Is my room made of guitar cases? No, chap. I'm a professional instrumentalist, and I just have a lot of instruments.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Just to actually answer that question. Because I've seen it a couple times.
Oh, sure.
So, coming in here, we use this pickaxe, and we're going to climb over this wall, and we're going to actually enter the very first tower or dungeon of the game. This is the Tower of Disciples. And the game is sort of divided into 4 main dungeons. And, that's really all there is to say about the general kind of structure of this game. The dungeons do get, I wish I could say progressively harder, but the 4th dungeon's kind of a letdown. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, here's the Tower of Disciples. It's pretty quick. Coming in through here, like I said, the biggest thing in this game, it's like a point-and-click adventure game. We're just going to be picking up different items. We got to come in this room, and we got to grab this coiled-up rope, which we'll need a little bit later. And there are some objects we're going to be grabbing that we're not going to need till way later in the run. It's kind of like, how to explain this? Throughout the game, with a lot of the puzzles, a lot of the solutions is going to be very like you'll be able to find the answers in books that you can pick up and stuff like that. But since we don't need to read any of them and we can grab a lot of these objects ahead of time, we're going to be doing so because this is a speedrun, of course. But we went in that room there. We grabbed the fairy sculpture. The game definitely messes that up a bunch. Sometimes they call it a sculpture. Sometimes they call it a statue. You can tell the localization was a little weird. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to grab this elf statue. It looks more like a gnome to me, but they call it an elf, so we'll go with elf. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to talk to Lakmir. Now, Lakmir is kind of the, for those of you who are familiar with Ocarina of Time, he's kind of the Kabora Gabora of the game. He's going to be popping up a lot and just interrupting the speedrun to feed us a bunch of very useless exposition. But more importantly, he's just really annoying. he just pops up and he just disrupts all the flow and all the vibes. So it's great. No, you don't have a weight limit.
Thank you for answering.
Yep. So coming in here, and this is an item I'm going to show off a little bit later. It will take an extra second or two to do so, but we'll be fine, I promise. This is Liquid Sunset. Fun fact about Liquid Sunset. They're one of the oldest threads on GameFAQs.com is called Liquid Sunset, and it's about this game. And it was the very first thread on GameFAQs.com that had so many messages that it literally got shut down.
What?
Yeah.
Like, just so many people were responding?
Yep. Just talking about, like, not even this game, just talking about life and stuff. It's a really interesting rabbit hole that I went down about a year ago.
Well, it sounds like you found some things.
Yeah, there's loosely a community, I guess you could say. Not a speedrunning community, but there are fans. So Here's our first true puzzle of the game, I would say. We just got to put these statues in these little, like, divots here. And that's it. Now, there actually are a bunch of sort of red herring items all throughout this game. Just different objects you can pick up that serve no actual in-game function other than just having them in your inventory. We're obviously going to be skipping over a lot of those, but if you see some objects on the ground that I'm not interacting with, just know that they're completely useless. Coming into this room here, we're going to be grabbing the Pixie Flute, which we're going to use to beat and finish the first tower here, the Tower of Disciples. And yeah, we're already through the first dungeon, more or less. And then pretty much right after this, we're going to be just going straight into the Tower of Lackmere, which is the second dungeon. And personally, my favorite. A lot of people prefer the third tower in, the 5 of us out there who enjoy this game. But, me personally, I like the second one. The second one's just got the vibes. The third one's kind of creepy, kind of spooky-like. And I don't mind that, but yeah. So anyway, we're going to come up here, and we're going to use the coiled up rope that we grabbed earlier, and it's going to give us a little escape route, but it's, the window's too small. So we're going to use the Pixie Flute, which shrinks us. I wish I could say that we use the Pixie Flute more often, and we're going to be shrinking a lot, but this is the only place you can use it in the game, unfortunately. And you use it to shrink, climb out the window, and then we use the Pixie Flute again to grow big. And that's the first dungeon. So we're already making pretty good leeway through the game at this point.
Yeah.
Come in here.
Are you escaping the whole... Okay, you're kind of like out of the dungeon now?
Yeah.
Where are we? We're in the castle. Okay.
We are in the proper, like, castle, Shadowgate, town, Shadowgate, whatever you want to call it.
Moving freely.
Yeah. We just went through the cemetery, and then we're going to go in this church here, and we're going straight to the second dungeon, pretty much. We're going to actually be exploring the proper town a little bit later in the run after the second dungeon. But for now, we're just rushing the first 2 dungeons. That's just how the route goes. First thing we got to grab, though, in the church basement is we grab this golden key. We can technically grab that later, but it's about 2 seconds faster to grab it right now, so I usually just do. And then we got to grab this crowbar. And then we're going to head upstairs. And we're going to come around here. We're going to go around these pews. And we're going to grab this potion that's sitting over here. This is the dragon elixir. Or the dragon tears, I'm sorry. It's probably one of the most, if not the most important item in the early game, for sure. We need it for a few different puzzles. Anyway, we're going to climb up this ladder, and then we're going to use the crowbar on this nail. Now, there's a pretty interesting puzzle coming up at the end of the second dungeon where you have to use a metal object to forge a key in like a smelting sort of machine. And you can use a variety of different metal objects. The game intends you to go back down the ladder and pick up the nail that was holding that chain in place. We don't need that, though. So coming upstairs here, we're on the roof. Now, this is a very risky speed game. I can't stress that enough. So I'm going to make a safety save here. I'm going to be making a couple safety saves in this run, just in case I die. Because if I die, there are no continues. We game over, and the run's just over. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to just continue where you saved last. So I'll be making a couple
I wouldn't have expected that from a Nintendo 64 game, but here we are.
It's pretty brutal. So anyway, now we're in the second dungeon, the Tower of Lackmere, and our very first mission is we're going to come in here to this barrel, and we're going to pour some dragon tears in this barrel of water, and then we're going to do nothing with it. We are going to come back for that later, but it's quicker to just do that now, because as we collect items, it pushes previous items we picked up further into our inventory, and since the dragon tears are the first item in our inventory, it's a little bit quicker to just go ahead and do that right there. So anyway, we're going to head downstairs, and we're going to get interrupted by the owl from OOT again, pretty much. He's going to... Basically, it's really funny. Me and one of the only other runners of this game make fun of this guy a lot because he'll show up and say, oh, Traveler. Essentially, he'll say something like, Traveler, you're doing the right thing, but will you do this? And then you go do the thing he said. He's like, oh, you did that, but will you go do this? And it's just very useless.
He's like constantly trying to challenge you.
Yeah, he's just constantly up in the ante.
That's too funny.
So this dungeon, unfortunately, and it's pretty much the only one like this. A lot of back and forth. We're gonna come downstairs here and use this bottle of oil on this rusty door, which allows us to open it. And then we're gonna go into a room and pick up one thing down here, and then we're gonna go right back upstairs. But on the way, I'm gonna show you all what Liquid Sunset does. It does have a puzzle function, but it does have a secondary function that is frankly hilarious. I don't know how that object grab worked. If you look at an object to grab it and it's like not on screen the right way, your character will just give you like a sort of a nothing burger kind of prompt, like there's nothing suspicious here, or I didn't find anything, or something like that. I have no idea how that one just worked. Like the item wasn't even on screen. I don't know. I've never seen that before, but I'm not gonna complain.
Magic.
Oh yeah. So coming into here, we're gonna pick up this rusty key, which is a required item for the run. I used to not think it was, and I've tried to route it out every which way of Sunday, but no luck. We're going to grab the ornate mug as well. And then we're going to go back, and we're going to head up to the top of the dungeon, back to that barrel full of water that I put the dragon tears in. But in this room here, I'm actually going to go into my inventory real quick, and I'm going to show off what Liquid Sunset does. If you drink it, it makes you really drunk. And your camera gets really strange, and you're spinning around, and it looks really weird, and it's very disorienting. Motion sickness warning. When you go through a loading zone, though, it goes away. But I thought it'd at least be interesting to show off what it does if you just drink the potion.
It's very potent.
Very potent stuff, yes. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to use this mug, and we're going to pick up some of this water and dragon tears. And somehow we just carry a mug of water in our pocket the whole run. I don't know how that works. I wish I could do that, but it is what it is.
Maybe it just fills up when you pull the mug out of your pocket.
It's magic. It just fills itself back up.
Yes.
So anyway, we need the water and dragon tears to put out that magic fire, and then we're going to put this little crest here, and then we're going to go head all the way back downstairs. There's good news, though. For those of you who are sad because we're going downstairs for the final time, we got to go back up them in a bit, too. So you'll get plenty of repeated geometry. Don't worry. So we're pretty much done with this dungeon. We do have a little bit of cutscenes coming up here in a little bit. We're going to meet the villain of the game.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty hype too. I will say he has a cutscene at the end of the game that is like maybe the best soundbite on this console. That's all I'll say. Just get prepared for it. It's hilarious.
All right, I'm gonna prepare.
So after we put the star crest in the fireplace thing up there, we come into here and Lachmir pops up again, and he says, "Oh, Traveler, you might have solved that part, but can you solve this part?" Is pretty much what he's saying. And yes, we can. So this part is a maze. You have to pick the correct stature. It warps you back to the beginning, kind of like the Lost Woods. This is a speedrun. We have the order memorized, and it's a very easy order to memorize as well. You just pick the right statue every time, other than the last time, where you picked the left one. Very difficult stuff.
Oh my goodness, I see. It's so difficult.
Very difficult. So coming up here is one of the only, probably the only reroute in the game's speedrun history. And it's something I found, actually. For a long time, people use the pickaxe here in this smelting machine because it's the closest metal item that you can use to smelt the key. But I discovered that there's a bit of a different route we can take if we keep the pickaxe and we smelt a different item. I'll point that out when we get to it a little bit later. But yeah, it saves about 20 seconds to just keep the pickaxe for a particular reason that I won't spoil, but we'll get to it in a bit.
All right.
Coming into this next room here, we have a bit of a potion puzzle. Like I said, a lot of solutions to these puzzles are in books that you can find just laying around throughout the game. But we already know all the solutions, so we're just blazing through them. Coming up here, we got to use the night elixir that we just picked up, and then we got to mix it with that liquid sunset. So there's the actual function of our bottle of liquor, essentially. And what it does is it reveals these glowy things on the ceiling. I don't know. It's a very, very abstract kind of puzzle. And yeah, that for some reason that allows us to unlock a keyhole that's on the ceiling. I don't know. Very, very strange. But we're going to use the key we just forged, and we're going to put it in the ceiling for some reason, and it's going to open this door right over here. Now, in this room, there are 3 rings. We're going to be picking up the Ring of the Dead. That's the only one we need, the red ring. The other 2 rings do kind of have functions, sort of. The blue ring reverses your controls, which might sound useless, but there is a use. We're not going to pick it up, but there is a use for that. The green ring just kills you when you put it on. So that's exciting. So anyway, here's our first cutscene of the game, true proper cutscene outside of the beginning, where we're going to be meeting the villain. Now, the very, very few people in the Shadowgate community, we really like this guy. He's our boy. This is Belzar. Everybody say hi to Belzar. He's pretty interesting. And by interesting, I mean he's kind of not that interesting at all. But we gotta latch onto something here, you know.
And you said he's called Belzar or Balzar?
Belzar. 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 Yep.
Belzar with a Z. Or Z, wherever you are.
Also, the faces in this game are pretty hilarious looking. There's one guy later in the game that they incorrectly stretched the texture over the geometry, so his face is like very not correct. I'll point it out when we get to it. It's really funny looking. It kind of reminds me a lot of the wrestling games on this system, if anybody's ever played those.
Any wrestling fans in the chat?
So anyway, we are now done with this dungeon, and like good old retro games, we don't get warped back to the entrance. We got to just walk all the way back out. So I'm going to take this time to tell a little tiny story, if I may. So at my very first Games Done Quick appearance back at SGDQ 2014, I was running Chameleon Twist any percent, which was a lot of fun. But there is, I don't know if it's kosher to mention this exactly, but I'm going to anyway. I promise it's fine. There was a very infamous cringe moment. Yeah, there's a very infamous cringe moment that happened during that, where somebody said, "I'd really prefer if you would be quiet." I was there for that moment. I am the guy sitting on the couch, or behind the couch, in the striped shirt during that infamous clip.
That's wild, Kafka. You've been in the game a long time. 2014, you said?
Yeah, that was my first GDQ appearance. Was SGDQ 2014.
What a throwback.
But yeah, it's really interesting because when I've seen all these people reacting to that particular clip, you know, it's getting millions and millions of views. I'm just like, hey, that's me in the thumbnail. You know, like it's just interesting.
I mean, you know, as long as you had fun, Kafka, that's all that matters.
Oh, it was fun, for sure. So, we are officially done with the second dungeon, the Tower of Lackmere. I did make one more safety save. I'll be making maybe like 2 more of those throughout the run, just to be a little safe, you know, for the sake of making sure we get through the run. In a world record attempt, we obviously wouldn't be doing that. But anyway, we picked up the red ring at the end of the second dungeon there, and that's the Ring of the Dead. And what that does is it allows us to talk to dead people, and the very first thing we're going to do with it is we're going to open this casket, and we're just going to talk to this. I mean, there's just a literal corpse in here, which is, you know, that's interesting, I guess. But we're going to talk to her ghost. This is Jezebel. Jezebel's going to give us her pendant, which is a extremely important object in the game. We're going to be equipping it a few times. But now we're actually more or less going to be entering the proper town of Castle Shadowgate. So you guys will get to see a lot more of the, you know, true environment of this game. And like I said, this game's a vibe. The music in it's very interesting. It's a really cool vibe, for sure.
I want to walk around the town for sure.
So we're back in the sewer now, and the sewer has an alternate exit that you can't open without the rusty key. So we're going to be taking that exit now, and you'll notice that we're going to be entering the first dungeon again through here. So this whole game is kind of like like all the loading zones sort of connected, almost like a circle loop, if you will. And yeah, so we're gonna be coming back to this room one more time. I forget this ghost's name, but he explains to us that his granddaughter is unfortunately dead, but he wants to be reunited with her spirit, and he wants us to go find her spirit. So we're gonna do that in a little bit. In order to do that, we got to take this slipper, and we have to go find the other slipper, and we have to take her ghost, both of her slippers. It's a simple sort of thing. But before we do that, we got a couple little pit stops we got to make around town, and we're actually finally entering the town, which is exciting stuff. But one little weird thing in this game is if you have the Ring of the Dead equipped, you can't talk to living people. I don't really know why it's that way, but
so
yeah.
do you have to just like unequip it when you talk to regular people?
Yeah, pretty much. What I usually do is I just switch to the pendant. I'll just equip the pendant, just because it's quicker to do that than it is to scroll over and unequip the Ring of the Dead. But yeah,
right on.
So coming up here, we have probably the other longest just chunk of nothing in the run, where we talk to this bard, or the troubadour, I believe he calls himself. He's gonna sing 3 songs to us, and we gotta listen to all 3 of them. Takes about 2 minutes. So if anybody has anything particular you might want to talk about, this is a good time.
Okay, Kefka, I need to ask you this. Where did you find this game? Like, what was your first experience with this game? I need to know.
Okay, so my great aunt owns a video rental store. It's still operational today, actually. And when I was a kid, I would get quote-unquote special deals, and I would just rent games for 5 days at a time, but only pay for like 1 day. And if I rented a game enough times, she would just give it to me, because I would essentially pay for the cost of the game, of her buying the game. And this was a game I rented. Yeah, this was a game I rented a lot as a kid. And when I first started speedrunning, I was curious about the run, and I found a speedrunner back in 2014 or 15 named Mordos, who was running it. And he was doing a really good job, and I didn't think anything much about it. I just ran other stuff for years. And then earlier last year, in 2023, I was like, hey, I want to look at that Shadowgate game again and see what's going on. And it had no new world records. There hasn't been a new world record in 8 years. Not even new runners. Like, it was just empty. And I was like, you know what? I'll grind that out. So I did. I grinded out the world record, and it was a lot of fun. It's ended up being one of the more relaxed sort of games that I run. I run a lot of very mechanically intensive kind of games, comparatively. This one's definitely a little more on the chill side of things.
So your other games are just a little more technical?
Yeah, as a whole, for sure.
Right, okay. Yeah, this has been a treat. Like, I've been kind of just enjoying myself watching you go through this dungeon.
This game's super chill. So, we're done talking to the troubadour now. He gave us a flower. The flower is extremely, extremely important. I wish there was a way to skip the flower. If there's anything in the game that can be skipped with some kind of glitch, and believe me, I've looked a lot for stuff, it would definitely be this whole section of the game, which is kind of unfortunate because, you're going through the village. but I'll explain a little bit more why I think it maybe could be skipped later. But anyway, I mentioned earlier a guy that had very weird face geometry. Here he is. Check this guy out. Here you go. Wait till he turns around. It's just...
Hey.
He just looks... Yeah, he's pretty... I'm trying to shame the guy, but he looks pretty unusual. I like how the left side of his face is like stretched upward because they just didn't lay the texture on it correctly. It's pretty good. Anyway, we had to give him the ancient coin that we picked up back in like minute 5 in the run. And he moves out of the way from this pile of garbage, which has the other slipper in it for some reason. And then we're going to be going, and if you remember a little bit earlier, not too much earlier, we were talking to a guy about, he wanted us to find his granddaughter. We're going to go do that now. But first we got to equip the Ring of the Dead because, unfortunately, she has passed away. And I'm going to be pointing out something a little bit morbid later regarding this girl. It's I don't know. I don't know if the developers intended this or if they didn't. This game kind of does have a little bit of a liminal space vibe to it, you know, like kind of spooky like at times.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
But anyway, coming up here, you can see a skeleton in the water. That's the girl right there. That's her body in the water. You talk to her, you give her slippers back, she reunites. And we'll be doubling back on talking to that guy later, and he's going to give us something for doing that. Yes, that is correct, Spacey, in chat. If you don't have the coin already, you do have to double back to the first dungeon and grab it, which is obviously very time-consuming, so I grab it while I'm there. So coming through here, we have one of the first sections of RNG in the run. Yeah, there's RNG in this game. Ooh. And it's the worst kind of RNG because we're going to get asked some questions. We're going to get quizzed, and the questions are random.
Get out your pencils, your pens, your notepads, whatever you got. Pop quiz.
So the first question he asks, this is not random, he asks if we're a grave robber. We say no. And he's basically, we're wearing the pendant that dead lady gave us earlier, and he wants to make sure that we have permission to have that pendant. So what season was it when Saul came home? That is High Winter. Who was he last seen with? A dwarf. And he was sick with Black Death. Okay, so this guy can ask a total of 5 different questions. He's only going to ask 3, and it's random as to which 3 he asks. There is a later section of RNG in the run with a thing that can ask up to 16 different questions that are random.
What?
Yeah, it sucks. Trying to run when I learned to run this game and I ran the Japanese version a little bit. Hello? That was really weird. I was looking right at her, but the game kept giving me the "there's nothing interesting here" prompt. At the main beginning of the game, we talked to a guy in the cell next to us. His name was Agar. This is Agar's sister. She explains that we need to help get Agar out of jail, which we agree to do naturally. And she gives us the orb. And we're going to be giving that to Agar later once we free him. But for now, we got to go grave robbing. So when he asked if we were a grave robber and we said no, we were lying.
Okay. All right. We're up to no good here.
Oh, yeah. We're deviants in this run. So our very first thing we got to do with the whole ghost tour, I like to call it, is we got to come over here to this grave. And for some reason, I don't know why this is a thing, but you have to dump the dragon tears on this grave. I don't really know why that's a thing, but it is. Then we got to equip the Ring of the Dead, and we talk to this guy. And this guy actually doesn't give us anything. He just tells us some magic words we need for an incantation. And yeah, and it's interesting because you don't even need the objects that the incantation are related to get the information for the incantation. That's an interesting sentence, isn't it? Information for the incantation.
So what is the incantation? Tell us the information.
It is Noman Ra. Here's the only skip in this run. Here we go. Let's see if I get it. We nailed it. Nice. So that's grave skip.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's technically a second skip, but I'm not going to be doing it because it's too risky. So what happens here? Normally, you talk to this guy's ghost, and he explains that nobody respected him in life, and he would love for somebody to respect him in death, and you put the flower on his grave. But if you shimmy up to it just the right way, you can put the flower on the grave without having to talk to him first. It saves like 10 seconds. Yeah. The skips in this game are really the opposite of hype, but, you know, they're there.
No, listen, plants, flowers, that is hype.
Anyway, after we talk to that guy, he explains that his master escaped somewhere underground with a treasure. And he basically tells us more or less a secret password to get this treasure from this guy. Coming into this room here, we're actually going to be equipping the pendant. Now, the other complex skip I mentioned is in this room. It's called Lucas Skip. Basically, if you have the Ring of the Dead equipped and you walk past Lucas's body, Lucas will talk to you and you'll lose about like 20 seconds or so. You can skip having to do the skip by just not having the Ring of the Dead on. So, yeah. I chose not to do it because it requires doing a very complicated sort of walking sequence, and you can fall in the water and die. And if we die, we literally just lose the whole run. Like, we can't continue. So I'd rather not do that. Yeah, I'd rather not do that in something like this, if that's fair.
Yeah, fair, for sure.
So anyway, that is Dursius, or maybe his name's Aristolan. I don't remember. Anyway, he gives us a treasure, and now we get to use the pickaxe to climb this wall, and this is why we keep the pickaxe. The old route would do what you're about to see much later in the run and have to backtrack all the way to this area for this. But because we kept the pickaxe, we can just go straight out of the sewers, straight back into the first dungeon, which is where that ghost was that wanted us to find his granddaughter. We can talk to him, and we can go ahead and finish that quest out. It saves something like 20 seconds over the course of the run to do this route versus the other one. So, yeah. Pretty little kind of interesting routing time save.
But now they're reunited. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So he gives us the Stone of Thirst, which the description of the item says that it drains water, basically, and for some reason it only drains one specific pool of water. Don't let it fool you.
We're not that lucky.
So coming up is the bigger chunk of what I said could probably be skipped if somebody found a way around it. First, though, we have to go to the store, actually. It's the only time we're going to go to the store. And we're going to give the guy at the store the treasure that we just got out of the sewer. And he's going to offer to trade us a violin. And he gives you a choice of 3 different violins. And one of them is the correct answer. The other 2 are not. We specifically need the chip violin, which is the second violin he's going to offer us. The game doesn't soft lock you. If you do pick the wrong violin, he'll let you swap out. You find out basically the hard way that you need a different one. But we know we need the chip violin, so we're just gonna go ahead and grab that. Cyanide gunner, it does not drain that particular water. It sort of does, but by proxy. It'll make sense later. So now we're actually going to go free Agar from the dungeon. We're finally going back to the place from the very beginning of the game, and we're going to free that guy that was in the cell next to us. And this is where there could be some stuff that's skipped. So the room we're about to go into has a series of triggers. And if you walk into it ahead of time without having specific objects in your inventory, the dungeon keeper appears and he just kills you. And that's just it. Like, there's no combat. Like, you're dead. And I've always theorized that if you could find a way to get past these triggers, you could go free Agar, like, early in the run and skip this entire town section. So, glitch hunters, get on that. It'd be pretty crazy. Anyway, we put the violin down and it distracts the dungeon keeper. He plays violin. That's something that the troubadour told us earlier, by the way. And we're going to go down into the dungeon here. And we're going to open Agar's cell. We're going to run straight up to him, and we're going to give him his magic orb that we got earlier from his sister. And some pretty interesting sound bites here. I'll be quiet so you can hear them. They're pretty funny. I love the sound he makes when he, like, uses magic. He's like, oh! Really weird sounding.
Clip it.
Anyway, after he teleports away, we have to lock the dungeon keeper in the dungeon. If you don't do that, the game won't let you progress, which is really weird. But, it doesn't take long. Just kind of fascinating.
Mad.
Oh, he's angry. He's locked in there for the rest of the game, too. He's old news.
Wow. Later, dude.
Yep. See ya. So all of this, everything we just done in this town, walking around, talking to all these ghosts, and freeing Agar from jail, and all of it, the flower, every bit of it, was all just so we could get into Agar's house. All of it. So the other option for some sort of potential skip would be, if somebody could find a way to clip into Agar's house early, you could skip having to free Agar in the first place, which would be great, But yeah,
this would
all
be
of it was
much shorter. Yes,
it would cut about 15 or 20 minutes off of this game, which would be insane, obviously. All right, so now that Agar has teleported away, he tells us, hey, I have a house in this one particular district of the town. Feel free to make yourself at home. And there are a few objects in that in that house that we need. 3 in particular, very important items. I don't really see any way of skipping those items throughout the run. But like I said, if you can find a way to skip and get into the house, it would essentially make almost everything else we just did useless, which would be pretty cool. But we're going to go into Agar's house now, and we got to pick up 3 objects. There is a dragon fang, some flint, and probably one of the best hidden objects in the game. It's a lever for a mechanism. Just wait till you see where it is. It's pretty sneaky where the devs hid this.
Okay.
So it's this bedpost here. It looks slightly different than the other bedposts, but you literally just break it off of the bed. Yeah, it's. I know a lot
found that.
I know a lot of people who've gotten stuck there, like especially as kids. Like you played it growing up. Like oh, where do I find the lever for this machine? And it's, to be fair, it's hidden pretty well.
Yeah, I'll say.
Coming through here, we're going to be going into this area here, and we're going to finally be draining some water. If you fall off the edge of these ravines, by the way, here, you die. When in doubt, everything in this game kills you. Just word of advice. Like, just be prepared to die a lot if you go into this game wanting to test some things. But we're finally going to use the Stone of Thirst, which drains the water in this room and nowhere else. And what I find interesting about this whole sequence is the reason we drained this water is so that we can go upstairs and turn some valves to drain some water. It's a paradox, really. Yeah, it makes no sense. Because it's like, why couldn't we just use the Stone of Thirst to drain the water that's later? I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, you got a little valve puzzle here where we have to turn these in the correct directions. I've messed this puzzle up a lot on world record pace because I'm really bad with things like left and right. Like if there's like a combination of things where I have to be like, left, left, right, right, I'll be like, is it right, right, left, left, or it just like gets mixed up in my brain, if that makes any sense. But we got it.
It
That's
happens.
good.
Yeah, GD.
Then we use the lever on the mechanism. We put it on there. And this is probably the most redundant time that Black Mirror appears. He says, oh, you put the lever on the machine, but will you pull the lever? And we're like,
Wow.
I think I will. Yeah, we're like, I think I will pull the lever. And he's like,
Is he really?
You did it. I can't believe you pulled the lever.
Wow.
Like, okay. So here's the morbid thing I wanted to point out. It drains the water from this area, and you can notice if you those who were astute, you could still see the ghost girl's skeleton laying there. Her name is Caitlin. So Caitlin's body was still laying there. And when this washes away, her skeleton is no longer there. So we literally just like washed her body into the sewers. just nonchalantly, like, just gone. Like,
Well, I'd say she's in a better place, but I don't know, Kefka. I don't know.
to be fair, her spirit is reunited with her grandfather now, which that's a good thing.
That is true. That is true. That's a good thing.
But like, I don't know, it's just kind of sad. It's like, just wash it away.
It is.
Just get out of here. Like, nah.
She deserves, like, a proper burial or something like that.
Absolutely. Anyway, that opens the third dungeon, which is by far the most difficult dungeon in terms of mechanics. The section I mentioned earlier with the 16 random questions, it's only going to ask 5 questions, by the way, and only 4 of them are randomized, but it can be a total of 16 different questions that the thing can ask, and it's pretty awful for speedruns. I'll be real, it's pretty terrible. Just mostly because if you mash through it, you could select the wrong answer, so you have to like slow down and actually read a little bit. The way I've kind of learned to do it, and I'll be taking it a little safe in this naturally, but the way I've kind of learned to do it quickly is I just read the answers as quick as possible, and I don't even look at the questions. I just memorize sets of answers that it can give you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is the third dungeon. This is the Tower of Trials. This is the spooky dungeon, if you will. There's a whole maze section in here that's just terrible. But first, we have a puzzle where we have to select the correct pieces to design a coat of arms. The coat of arms is all over the walls in the previous room, which is how you find the correct answer. Very strange puzzle. It's very unique compared to anything else in the game because it takes you to this separate screen. And the solution's always the same for this. You select the first thing, the last thing, and then just the first thing on the next two. So very simple. And then we're coming up to what I like to call the Demon Wall. Now, the Demon Wall is going to ask us a series of 5 questions. The fifth question is always the same. But the first 4 are completely randomized. Let's see what we get here.
Okay.
Who has forever been known as the Good Master? That is Lachmir. Okay, there's question 1. I always get that question first. Or rather, not always, but the last, 5 runs I've done has been that one, okay? This one is... I have notes on this. I haven't ran it in a little... Or not, very actively, but it's Death Magic. Okay, cool. We're good. Nobody saw that. I had that memorized.
Of course.
Oh, of course. The number of waves into the tower, that is 2. And then there's only 2 questions left. Let's see what we get for the very last randomized one. Of what species was the last dragon? That is gold. And then the very last question is, who is the true king of Kaltorlan? And the answer to that is always the same. And the question is always the same as well. The answer is Nathor Dreslin. So that's the last RNG gauntlet of the game. And then we're coming into a very weird area. So your controls and your looking mechanic gets completely reversed here. Up is down, left is right, and so on and so forth. There is a way to make your controls normal, and I also made a safety save there. There's these spinning blades in this area. You'll see one right in front of me right there. You walk into it, you die, naturally. You can power through this very quickly, but it's a little risky, so I'm walking just a little bit safe to make sure we don't die. Even if we did, I did just make a safety save, which is good, but still, would rather not die. And we made it through that section. Which is probably the most nerve-wracking part in the entire speedrun if you're really trying to get a good personal best, because your controls are reversed and you can buffer the directions you want to run when you're going from screen to screen, and it's super annoying. Yes, the reverse ring is useful there. To answer the question in chat, there's also the blue potion which has the same effect, which you could use there in a casual playthrough. So this is a maze, this whole section is. So we have a candle. You can see it on the top right corner of the screen there. If the candle burns out before we make it to the end of the maze, we get warped back to the beginning of the maze. That may sound super risky, but and it is if you don't know how to get through the maze. But I'm not going to say anything yet because if I say that I've never gotten stuck by this, something will go weird. So I'm just not going to say it. We'll just get through the maze. I'll jinx it,
Yeah, it's a good plan.
Oh, for sure. So basically the object of this maze is to go through and you push all these different buttons that are on the wall to just open different pathways. It's pretty confusing, honestly. It's definitely a kind of place where people get stuck in this game playing it casually, and the game FAQs guides on it are okay. They're not great, but it's kind of hard to explain some of the things in this. Like the door I just went in there. If I would have went into the door to the left, it would have just warped me back to the beginning of the maze. Versus the door on the right lets me progress. Very strange. Very, very, very strange indeed. We pass back through this room. We press this button. Good stuff. I've got a weird bit of a core memory of this section of the game. When I was a little kid, and I mean, not little, but I was I don't know, I want to say 10, something like that. I was playing this game really late at night on a weekend, and the music in this section is pretty creepy. And my dad walks through and he says, hey, don't stay up late and scare yourself. I was like, oh, I'm not going to. I naturally did. I just stayed stuck in this maze for 5 hours, and by the time I went to bed, I was having weird fever dreams. Essentially, it was great.
Did you tell your dad after the fact?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
He was probably laughing about it.
But we're done with the maze now. It's not too long, if you know where to go. And you'll notice there that I just walked in between two statues. If you touch one of those statues, they warp you back to the beginning of the maze, which is awful. That's an awful trap. That's literally like, kind of like a Kaizo block, almost. But it's terrible. So this puzzle here is kind of interesting. You got to turn around and walk into that mirror backwards. Takes a bit for some people to figure out what to do there. Then we're going to grab one of the actual 2 items needed to beat the game. Like, if you could skip to the very last area of the entire game, this is an item that you have to have. And this is the Ring of the Kingdom. We're going to be keeping it equipped all the way to the end of the run, but we're getting pretty close to the end of the run now. We're not, like, right there. We still have one more dungeon left, but it's the shortest by far. But we're making pretty good time through this. So anyway, Lackmere pops up. Yeah. Lackmere pops up one more time to say, hey, good job, you beat the dungeon, but will you go to the 4th one? And we're like, I think I will. You know, like,
he's such an instigator. Like, oh my god.
He is. He's just stirring the pot. Like, he did. Before we go to the 4th dungeon, though, and the 4th dungeon is the Tower of Dragons, we have to stop by and grab the Dragon Flute, which they call it the Dragon Flute, but it's more like a horn, honestly. I mean, it sounds like a horn to me. It doesn't sound like a flute, but, you know, whatever.
We'll roll with it.
Yeah, just my instrumentalist is coming out a little. It bugs me, but I'll be okay. And we're gonna be stopping by the 1st dungeon for the final time. It's interesting. You come back into the 1st dungeon like 6 times throughout the run, which is pretty weird.
Do you ever stop by the cell that has like the jailer in it that's trapped?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Actually,
he's just
there. Somebody in chat said Vuvuzela. It does kind of sound like a Vuvuzela. a little bit. And now we're headed straight to the 4th dungeon. Now, you can tell that the devs were, you know, either it was crunch time, or they were just out of ideas, or they were just tired of developing the game, and they were like, let's just throw something together. This last dungeon is basically just a spiral staircase, and that's it. There's like one very tiny puzzle in it. And
they didn't want to they didn't want to change the name of the game to the 3 towers.
Yeah. Had to be 4. Somebody in chat has asked, what is the release date for this game? 99. That's what I know. But we use the dragon. Did I actually say dragon horn? Is the name of that the dragon horn? Was I wrong? I bet I was. Whatever. Anyway, this is the 4th dungeon. This is the Tower of Dragons. There's a couple things we gotta do in here, but it's essentially nothing. First, our character just looks around and is just like, wow, look at this place. Padding. So, anyway, we're going to continue around this area, and you can cut these corners a little bit deeper, but naturally, you fall over the edge, you're dead. We don't want to be doing that, so I'm going to be playing it a little bit safe. We're going to come in here, we're going to go down this ladder, and we're going to grab this gem. It's essentially a dragon eye. They call it like the dragon gem or something like that, but it's an eyeball. Let's be real. It's the thing on the front of the box. I recognize it. It's on the front of the game. And we're basically done with the dungeon now. We're just gonna go to the top and we're gonna do one more puzzle and then the dungeon's over. This dungeon is super short.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super short. First we gotta stop here though. We gotta use the dragon fang on this, which makes the stairs appear, and if you don't find the dragon fang earlier, you gotta go back and find it in Agar's house. But yeah, and this whole dungeon is just literally what you're seeing, for the most part. We're just going around this spiral, riveting stuff.
I think they did a pretty good job, though.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. It's a little empty compared to the others. You know, like Dungeon 2 and 3 especially are full of very, like, kind of interesting puzzles, especially if you're playing casually and, you know, you're having to stop to read the books and, like, get the lore to find the answers. It's pretty interesting. The room I just went through there actually has a puzzle that a lot of people think you have to complete, but you don't, where you have to repair a lute. But, yeah. So the last puzzle in the game, the last true puzzle, is these dragon statues. You have to select the correct wing to pull on them, and you have to select the correct order to create a melody. And it's pretty interesting because the game actually plays the melody for you in the previous room with the guy that you fixed the loot for. I have heard of the sequels to this, the canceled sequels to this game. There is actually a PC release of a remake of the original game that came out not too long ago. That had one of the kind of, I guess you could say, pseudo moderators of the Shadowgate 64 community on GameFAQs.com. He was actually one of the playtesters and one of the designers for it. It was kind of interesting. But yeah, so here's the very last dragon. He's got a stick in his head. That's the Staff of Ages. The Staff of Ages is a pretty interesting item. If you touch it when not wearing the Ring of the Kingdom, you die. That's the name of this game. If you do something and you're not sure, you're just gonna die. But we have the Ring of the Kingdom on, so we can take the staff. And instead of pulling it out of the top of the dragon's head, we just rip it straight through the front of it, which is, that's fun. But the dragon comes back to life, and we're gonna fly away on it now. And we're gonna go back down into the town. And now that we have the dragon, we can finally go confront the actual villain of the game. And, we're in the epilogue, essentially, at this point.
This is epic.
It kind of is.
You get your own dragon? This is so sick.
You don't get to fly. I mean, he's flying on it, but I'm not doing anything. It's just, cutscenes. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it adds to, the fantasy. I bet people playing this back in the day were probably amazed,
I was. When I was a kid and I beat this for the first time, I was blown away. I was like, whoa, a dragon,
For sure. I would have been too.
So the dragon drops us off in town, and then we got to come and commit an arson, which is fun.
As one does, yeah.
As one does. We're grave robbing, we're arsoning, we're doing all the things.
Don't do any of these things, my friends.
Yes. But really what we're doing is we're setting fire to that barn to distract the guards. Now here's the real last boss of the game. We'll see if this goes well. So this guy here, I got it, cool. So sometimes if you walk up to him and you get too close, he'll just push you away and you'll lose 8 seconds. I don't really know why it happens, but sometimes it does. He's the real last boss, I like to joke. He's essentially the last guard we have to get out of the way. What happens there is I gave him the pendant that the dead lady gave us way earlier, and it makes him feel guilty because he murdered her son, I believe that's the lore. And he just runs away. He's like, yeah, go stop the villain. I'm sorry, I was evil. And we're like, all right, man, sure. So we're gonna fight the final villain here, sort of. And all you gotta do is put that in that, and that's that puzzle. We beat the villain. Great.
Wow,
but
just like that.
But the best soundbite maybe on the entire N64 is coming up here in a second. I'll make sure to be quiet when it does. This guy comes out and he chants around this staff or whatever. It's epic. I want to say it's the worst sound design, but it's so bad that it's good. It's in that territory of things. So this is Belzar, and he's happy because we completed his magic staff thing, so he can do his ritual or whatever. But it's a trap. We've laid a trap for him, essentially. All right, here we go. Y'all ready for this? He's getting ready. All right, I'll be quiet. Great. It's wonderful. When he starts laughing, it's even better because it just repeats the same. It just repeats the same audio file on loop for his laugh, and it's very obvious that it does. I just love the noises he makes. Like the laugh is just like it's just terrible.
For more, follow Kefka14 here on Twitch.
Oh yeah, we have a good time. What's this? Brun yun yo bodin yacht. No, that's the different ways people are like great. I always said it sounds like he's saying bottom yo. He's like bottom yo. I don't know what it's weird. So anyway, his spell goes wrong, and he unleashes Lord Voldemort, or the Warlock Lord, or whatever you want to call him. And now we're at the true end of the game. There's about a minute left in the run. And the Warlock Lord has been reincarnated, and it's everything's terrible. Castle Shadowgate is in ruins. Black Mirror appears one more time, and he's like, "Man, that really did not go according to plan. Good luck." And we're like, "Yeah, well, we got you, dude." So the last thing we got to do is we got to go use the Staff of the Ages and the Magic King and the Ring of the Kingdom. Sorry, on the Warlock Lord, and we win. And well, you don't really use it on the Warlock Lord, but you kind of do. So here's the Warlock Lord. You can see him looming over this plaza. He's basically just, yeah, he's pretty creepy looking. You know, you gotta love a good 2D image overlaid in the background. It's pretty great. Anyway, we come to this statue here, and the first thing we do is we use the Staff of Ages on this statue, and we'll put it into the statue's hands. And then the next thing we do is we use the Ring of the Kingdom, and we put it on the finger of the statue. And if anybody's ready on time, I'll actually give you a countdown on the timer to end the run. We're going to end the run in 3, 2, 1, time. And that's Shadowgate 64.
GG. Oh my gosh. That was absolutely epic. Like, Kefka, thank you so much for showing this game off. Do you have any shout-outs, comments, anything you'd like to leave our viewers with? As the baddie is flashbanging everyone?
Again, thanks for having me. I always have fun doing hotfix events and, doing anything for Games Done Quick in general. If anybody likes what they saw here, you can find me over at Twitch TV /Kefka14. I speedrun a lot of obscure games. This is just one of many. Special shout-outs to Mordos and the Shadowgate 64 community on Game FAQs. I know those guys aren't active, but I could tell they had something special going on, so I just want to say shout out to the Liquid Sunset crew. You guys are awesome. And yeah, if anybody's interested in running this game, feel free to literally just hit me up. Just send me a DM. I've got a tutorial on my YouTube channel for running the game. It's a pretty chill game. Yeah. So again, thanks for having me. This has been great.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, Kevin. I love that you called them the Sunset Crew.
Yeah, that's what they are. I mean, that's what they called themselves, to be fair. So I'm just spreading the love.
That's perfect. Well, listen, this was a really interesting game, and it seems like there's a lot to be explored. So for those of you watching, if you did have fun with Kefka here on GDQ, make sure you follow Kefka on Twitch, twitch.tv/Kefka14. But that is going to be a wrap on tonight's episode of Time Capsule. I have been your host, Smooth Operative. Thank you all so much for watching. If you missed the show or any of our other hotfix show, be sure to check out the VODs over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And if you're watching this on YouTube from the future and you had fun with us tonight, be sure to press the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Have a beautiful day or night. And the hotfix crew will see you next time. Thank you again, Kefka. Goodbye, everyone.